It is Locked On NBA Game Night for the night of Tuesday, July 29th. On today's show, the Lakers made some big additions this summer, but did they get any better? Plus, did the Hornets quietly have one of the better off seasons in the league? We talk about that and more on today's Locked On NBA.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Hello and welcome to a off-season edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Wes Goldberg here with Tony East. However, you might be tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Jam-packed show for you today. We're going to talk about the latest on Luka Doncic and Jonathan Kuminga here in a minute. First, we are zooming out to start today's show on the NBA and taking a look at which teams had an overrated offseason, which teams had an underrated offseason. Let's start with which offseasons we think are overrated. We're going to kick things off on a negative note, Tony, because that's how we like to do things here. Give me your most overrated offseason.
I mean, the Blazers are a really interesting summer to me. Like, they get Drew Holiday, they get Dame, but Drew they got, and they had to take picks out of the trade because he's really hurt. Like, that seems a little scary for a guy who's clearly been dwindling in effectiveness. Now that Drew Holiday's not awesome when he plays. And like Anthony Simons is good, and that's just over now, I guess. And Dame's not going to play this year. And like, are you now blocking Scoot Henderson, who was like kind of promising last year as the last minutes for lots of your young guys? And they, it just feels like they lost like Ayton for nothing, which I get his contract is huge, and Simons for low amount. I like Jabari Walker. He's out the door. And like, for what? Like, vets who will help you win, not on your timeline. Love the Hansen pick, but outside of that, I'm kind of like, is this really that good? I've seen a lot of praise for it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I like Portland going into next season because I like how they ended last season.
They were good.
And almost despite what they did this offseason. I didn't love their draft. I think Young Hansen's fine. It just felt like there was more immediate contributors there. There's still a very real question about, like, okay, you just drafted Donovan Clingan last year at the top of the draft, and now you just added another center. They can't play together. And Portland fans, well, maybe they can. I don't see how those guys play together. And maybe that doesn't matter. But the Damian Lillard edition it's a fun story. It's heartwarming. It's awesome. I have nothing bad to say about it, but he is not helping their team this year because he's injured and he won't play this season. So, okay.
And if he's helping them next year, it means this year went bad for their young guards, right? Right? Like, I don't know.
And I'm with you on the Drew Holiday thing. And I understand that as an NBA media space, we've all made some sort of like, back of the room agreement that we're not allowed to ever say anything bad about Drew Holiday.
He is good.
He's fine. He is not what he was a few years ago, and he's old, and he's on a horrible contract. And if Portland does try to eventually move off of that, I'm not sure how they're going to do it until he's expiring. And there's some concerns with that too. And now he's in. I don't know what you do with him. I think he's a good player. I think he can make an impact for them. But what does that mean for Scoot Henderson? What does that mean for Shaedon Sharpe? What does that mean for the guys in the backcourt? And I guess maybe the Trailblazers are saying, well, he's going to help mentor Scoot Henderson and mentor all these guys. I guess I kind of think defensively mentorship is kind of overrated. I think either you have it or you don't. People treat defense like it's if you just play hard, you're going to be a good defender. I think defense is a skill, and I think either you have it or you don't. And Drew Holiday clearly has it in spades. I don't know how he's going to magically teach Scoot Henderson to be a good defender. Is that the expectation there?
Yeah, the theory of like, okay, learn offense from Dame, learn defense from Drew. Like, that sounds sick. If they were one player,
Scoot's just going to be the best point guard in the league in a couple of years. Is that the idea?
Here, like, I think Drew is very good. Like, I'll agree. I was in the back room with you when we made the deal never to say anything bad about him. But like the medical said like something bad enough that the Blazers were like, we're not including the picks. And Celtics are like, great, we'll still do it. Right? Like that is so telling to me, and they're like, I think Simons is worse than Drew probably, but I thought Simons had positive value. And I'm like, well, the Celtics thought that Simons had lower value. That's why they got the picks. They still did the trade. I don't know. It'd be a little alarming. And like Jeremy Grant is still just doing something on this team. It's just kind of like pick what your direction is, man. You got a lot of exciting stuff. You clearly were doing something good last year. Like, figure it out. Are you young and spunky, or are you trying to win now? And it doesn't feel like their win now moves were interesting. Anyway, we can go to a different team.
And they're very expensive, and they did
Yes.
not reduce payroll even a little bit. So,
and then next year they'll win 42 games this year, and then get Dame for free next year. I'll be like, well, what am I even talking about? But like, it's very confusing to me.
Ooh, I can't wait for next year. Oh, you know what? Our big offseason addition is actually Damian Lillard. When you think about it, like that's going to be the conversation. Just fast forward a year from now, I guarantee you that's going to be a story. My most overrated offseason belongs to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Ooh.
Everything has to be put into this context before I get into anything else. They did add Luka at the trade deadline, and that's awesome. Okay, that was their big splash. So to expect them to do some sort of splash this summer after the biggest splash we might have ever seen after getting Luka, I get it. It's still a win for them. They're still better than what they were a year ago. But, and there are signs pointing to him signing an extension before the start of next season. Now, if that happens, that could dramatically change how I think people look at the Lakers offseason. For a quick word on that, here's Locked On Lakers with more.
You need to see these signs. You're going to sign Luka to whatever contract he wants anyway. But like to erase any of that back of your mind stuff, like this, the last 3 weeks of news have been fantastic. And I'll tell you, I'm actually really excited that he's got Eurobasket to go into, because like there's this, he had a break to get his body right. He had a break from basketball to do different kinds of training. He's back on the floor now. There's this progression to his off season. Now he gets to play some games, and then he'll get a little bit of chance to recover before training camp starts. And you can just, there's this flow of end of last season into the beginning of next season that is perfect, that he seems to have a phenomenal plan for.
So, look, if they get Luka to sign the extension, if he comes back in world-class shape, best shape of his career and all these things, they're going to be good. I'm not saying that the Lakers are going to suck. I'm just saying I'm looking at the totality of their offseason. I just think that we're overrating it a little bit here because of the three major additions that they made: DeAndre Ayton, Jake LaRavia, and Marcus Smart. I only think one of those guys is guaranteed to play major minutes, and that's Ayton. So I'm not even sure that that's necessarily a huge positive. And they still lack all of the things that I thought like they lacked going into the offseason. They still lack shooting. They still lack point of attack defense, because that's not really what Marcus Smart does anymore. I still think that they lack wing defenders after losing Dorian Finney-Smith. I still think they lack depth at center, even though they did get DeAndre Ayton. I think they have improved a little bit, but I think the way people are talking about the Lakers offseason as some sort of slam dunk, oh my God, I can't look at the names that they got. I just think it's slightly overrated.
So if they extend Luka, which is like, what, 3 or 4 days away, if it could happen when this comes out, I would be like, yeah, that's good, right? That's really good for the Lakers. But I agree with you about everything else. Like, 2 of their 3 big additions were guys that their old team was like, yeah, we'll just buy you out. Like, we don't think you have, and I get that their contract is a part of the reasoning for that, but it's like they weren't even willing to try to rehab their value on the old contract. They're like, yeah, no, we just don't want you anymore. And like Ayton will fit well as a lob guy, and when Marcus Smart plays, he's good. That's not very often. LaRavia is nice. Shout out to Indiana native Jake LaRavia. But then on the same thinking is like, they just lost Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, they traded a first for him last season. He's good, right? Mm-hmm. And like he did not get an expensive contract. It's like very non-guaranteed and everything. It's like, you couldn't. What happened? Like, how did you burn that bridge that bad? I'm not going to kill them for this, but like, I really like Jordan Goodwin. He was on a almost completely non-guaranteed deal. And like, I guess if you think Marcus Smart's better, I get it, but I would have liked to have both if I'm the Lakers. So if those guys fit, great. Like, yeah, they'll be better than last year, but I'm just like, this is your slam dunk. ESPN gave him a what? I can't remember, but it's just that didn't, yeah, they got a B. I would not give him a B. I'd give him less than a B.
Yeah, I just generally, Ayton could go either way. I think it'll be okay because he's playing with LeBron and Luka, and those guys just make the most out of guys like DeAndre Ayton. But I have no question. Like, offensively, he'll be fine. I still don't know who anchors this defense. You know, yeah. I just don't know. Like, there's still a Anthony Davis sized hole in this defense, and then I'm like, okay, well, what if they had moments of being awesome defensively last year? JJ Redick had them bought in and all these things. I don't think that they're going to be that good defensively as during that stretch where they were like the number 1 or number 2 team in defensive rating last year for like a month. I think they'll probably settle in closer to average defensively. And then if you're asking, okay, well, then how does this team compete? Then you have to have one of the best 5 offenses in the league, probably. And maybe they can get there. Maybe Luka and LeBron, that's just enough. Who are they passing to? Like, who are the awesome shooters on this roster? And I don't really see those there either. So I just still think they're lacking a little bit. Anything else on this before we move on?
No, I share your opinion that they would have an overrated offseason to me.
All right, well, then let's get to the most underrated offseasons, including a team that may have just done enough to avoid having to trade their star. We'll do that next here on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. If you're sharing your finances with somebody, Monarch makes it easy to stay on the same page. If you have a financial goal in mind, you guys could do it together. Get to that savings account goal that you've been desperately trying to get to. Save for that house, save for that car. You could do it forever. If you always wanted all of your accounts and spending to be tracked in one place, well, Monarch Money does that too. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. We'll be right back. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube. Also, make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast app. All right, we talked about some overrated off seasons. Let's balance out the karma, Tony. Let's talk about some underrated off seasons. Who you got?
I would like to thank our bosses for giving me the time to talk about the Charlotte Hornets for 5 minutes. Shout out to the Charlotte Hornets, man. Like, they are not going to be very good this year, and I still think they just like crushed it. And so like, put to the side that I really liked Con Knippel in this draft, right? Like, more than I would say most people did. So like, you pick somebody I like, that's good. Okay, Mark Williams. Disaster thing happens with the Lakers. And like, that hurts his trade value just because that happened, right? They got 2 firsts for him. They might be crappy. Then they trade Micic for 2 seconds for Pat Connaughton. And like, Pat Connaughton's expiring and like a decent player. They could get something for him too. So they get 2 firsts, 2 seconds, whatever they get at Pat Connaughton for Mark Williams. Great trade. They get Colin Sexton and a second for Yusuf Nurkic, and like, they had no ball handling when the Melo was off the floor last year. Like, they're going to be a much higher floor team in those moments. I also have Spencer Dinwiddie just like existing. Kalkbrenner looks like he could be a decent backup center. They have an actual decent backup center now in Mason Plumlee. Trey Mann is back. If he's not hurt, that's great. And they lost like nobody of note besides, of course, Mark Williams, unless you think Yusuf Nurkic is of note. Like, basically everybody who stunk and played a lot last year is gone, and they've been replaced with like, this is a decent player. They're still probably the 3rd worst team in the East, but this is like, this team makes sense. It's clearly trending towards being a better group. And I just like, last year they had a lot of moments with, especially when the Melo was on the floor, it's like, God, this team is just awful. Like, they're gonna have none of that this year. That raises their floor quite a bit.
I hear you. I liked Charlotte's offseason. I think they crushed the draft, getting Knippel, and then getting what's his face, the UConn guy,
Liam McNeely.
I
can't say his name out loud because he committed and then decommitted to IU. So that's the last you'll hear of me say it.
I apologize for even bringing it up. I like the Sexton addition to them. That's really nice. But to me, everything for them is like, is Brandon Miller healthy? Can he stay healthy? Is LaMelo Ball healthy? Okay, cool. Can he stay healthy? Can he get rid of that weird Cheeto thing tattoo on his toe? What the heck was that? Whatever.
That is weird.
If I were to make a counter argument, they are extremely thin at center. And I don't see a world where this team escapes the bottom 5 in defense next season.
Kalkbrenner, Plumlee, and
Musa Diabate, who I like, but these are all like,
Diabate's good. Yeah, that's tough.
They're all low minute centers. So maybe there's a way where you could kind of stack a bunch of center minutes together and put a trench coat over it and call it one good center. But that's where I'm a little worried.
That is definitely
But I think
tough.
it's a fine offseason, to your point. Like, just because you have a good offseason does not necessarily mean you're going to win a lot of games. They accomplished a lot of
every asset thing they had. I think they did a good job with it. And like that is, and they did a good job with it in a direction that like pushes forward their team, whatever direction they want to go. If they be good with LaMelo or like be young for a little longer, they could do both. I like what they did quite a bit.
My underrated offseason is going to go to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Love it.
They got 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane. I love that trade for Memphis. And the more we get away from it, the more a lot of people are underrated offseason Orlando Magic. It's so underrated that it's not. Like, okay, they got Desmond Bane. I get it. They're good. Like, I have no problem with the Orlando Magic, but it's not underrated. It's not overrated. It's just rated. We know what they did. But on the other side of it, the Grizzlies got 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane. I like Desmond Bane. That is what we call, in the mafia business, a deal you can't refuse. 4 first-round picks? Are you kidding? That's crazy. So they get that. They add Ty Jerome, who is exactly the kind of point guard, backup point guard, that has always worked with the Grizzlies, whether it was Tyus Jones, Scottie Pippen Jr., whatever. They still have Scottie Pippen Jr. Like, Ty Jerome just is exactly what this team needs and does well. He could play with John Morant. He could play instead of John Morant when John Morant is hurt, which he will be. They get Cedric Howard in the draft, who was the riser of the draft. They trade up. They get him. Awesome pick for them. And what I like about it is that they reset the clock to me on a roster that felt like it was nearing an expiration date because of how costly it was and just and how long it had been together. It was like, okay, Ja, Desmond, Jaren Jackson Jr., like, what are we really doing here? Are we going to have to trade Ja? Are we going to have to trade Jaren? Well, they get rid of Desmond Bane. They lower the payroll. They re-sign Jaren Jackson Jr. to an extension that actually pays him less than what he could have made next summer as an unrestricted free agent. So that's just good business. And then lost within all the shuffle here, Tony, is that in that 4 first-round pick haul they got from Desmond Bane, they actually got a 2026 pick that's probably going to be the Phoenix Suns pick. That's probably going to be an awesome pick. I feel like Memphis hit a home run this offseason with what they did.
I love their summer as well because what were they doing before? Right? Like clearly Bane, Morant, and Jaren was not going to get you where, like 2 years, what was it, 2022, where I think they might have had the case for second best team in the league when they pushed the Warriors in that second round. And then it obviously hasn't been the same since. So like, what are you actually doing? So renegotiate and extend Jaren. And like, people will be like, why'd they do that? Well, like all these teams are prioritizing cap space all of a sudden. Like the Lakers now cannot have Jaren Jackson, for example. Like that's good. He's a very good player. Ty Jerome, dreamy fit. Like they did not have good ball. Bane is a good ball handler. He's not like a point guardy guy. I think the Magic are actually about to learn that the not fun way. They have a better backup point guard.
If you were
2 of the 4 picks they got,
every front office in the league, would you rather have Desmond Bane or Ty Jerome and 4 first-round picks?
Well, take a step further. They used 2 of those first to get Cedric Howard. So Ty Jerome, Cedric Howard, the Suns pick, and whatever the 4th one is. And like, well, to be clear, like Desmond Bane is a like, oh my God, perfect fit on the Orlando Magic's team, but great try. And like KCP is still something. You know, probably negative value on his deal, but like he'll play rotation minutes for them. I love Ty Jerome there. Jock Landale's a good fit. They got positive pick value for Jay Huff somehow. Like Jay Huff had a nice season for them. And every other departure that we've mentioned is like not a big deal. Lamar Stevens, Zion Poulin, Yuki Kawamura. He was really fun, I guess. Bagley. And Luke Kennard is good, I guess. He got $11 million. But every team Luke Kennard is on, I think I've said this on the show a million times, is like, yeah, we don't really want to play you. We'd rather sit you on the bench. So not a catastrophic loss either for a new coach. Plus, Santi Aldama, they agreed to very quickly with a restricted free agent who's like pretty good. They did it. Yeah, good contract, $17 million for like your 6 man, maybe fifth starter. Really good, like the Hornets, like everything that they could have extracted value from their room exception, Desmond Bane, the draft picks that they got. They just nailed it, and they got Jock Landale to be their new backup center. Tomasi Salo is the only question mark, but the team makes a lot more sense to me, and that they're still going to be competitive with the good players they have now, but like the Hornets, they have actual stuff to help them build around those players going forward.
And like we already talked about it, like kind of reset the timeline. It gave them more time. It extended the runway, and I think this is a masterclass of, hey, not every team has to just blow it up when it becomes clear that the current thing doesn't work. This was a masterclass in we're holding on to our most valuable things. We're going to reset the deck a little bit here. We're going to extend the runway, and we're probably going to take a year, and I think that's fine. In Memphis, you're probably taking this as a gap year. You could still compete. They might be in the play-in tournament this year. But let's figure it out with some of our young guys, with Zach Edey and some of this other stuff, and let's buy ourselves a little bit more time before we figure out what the next move is.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the hope, I can't remember if you were in Warriors land for this or not, but like the hope is that it's like, obviously you lose Kevin Durant, but like turning D'Lo into Wiggins. Like you
Right.
push your timeline back by getting D'Lo and then you trade him for the stuff that helps your team be awesome or good or whatever. Or like you pick a bunch of examples on basically every recent champion. At some point they've had that kind of inflection. Yusuf Nurkic traded away from Denver, whatever. I'm just spitballing now. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gary Harris for Aaron Gordon, like that kind of stuff, right? Like that is what you have to do at some point a lot of times with these good teams, and they're doing it now. And look, they're in the same conference as Wembanyama and the Thunder. It might never matter for like a championship, but I think they have a better chance of having a conference finals or a conference semifinals level season now more than once, especially than they did before doing anything.
People close to Luka Doncic say his body transformation has nothing to do with getting traded by the Mavericks. Buy or sell is next. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On NBA. If you're enjoying the show, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on your podcast app. Grab your fun money, Tony, because it's time to wrap up things the way we always do here on Tuesday night with a game of buy or sell. We're going to start with this piece. According to The Athletic, some sources in Doncic's inner circle believe he was on the path toward the physical transformation that we saw in that men's health piece, whether or not Dallas was going to trade him or not. So, Tony, buy or sell that Luka was on this path regardless of the trade?
Look, man. I could be really nice to Luka and say, oh, he's playing for Slovenia and he wants to do a good job and he's excited about next season with the Lakers. Obviously, your old employer calling you fat and lazy on your way out is a huge motivating factor. Duh, I'm selling that every single day. That is crazy talk. I can't believe it. I don't even get why they're saying this. I think it'd be better to say, yes, he's extremely motivated by the comments that came out of Dallas. Like that would look awesome. I can't believe it.
Yeah, having that Michael Jordan-esque, I took that personal,
yeah,
would be a cool bit of storytelling from the Luka Doncic camp. And instead, it kind of feels like they're running away from it. I think what it is that they just don't want to give Nico Harrison any sort of credit. Like, hey, I'm Luka. I was always going to be amazing and dominant. I didn't need you to do that. And so he's taking it personal almost in that way. But I'm with you. I would have leaned way into this and just leaned in more to making Nico Harrison the heel of not just the Dallas Mavericks fans, but the entire NBA. Because if Luka comes out in world-class shape, we're talking about a guy who could legitimately be the best player in the NBA again, where there was a point a couple years ago where you could argue that he already was. But I'm not going to sell this quite as hard as you, because I am going to buy the point that the guy was 26 years old going into his 8th season. Generally the time where guys start taking this stuff a little bit more seriously. And he was coming off of a major leg injury that sidelined him for the most amount of time that he's ever been sidelined in the regular season. He was out of shape because of, in large part because of that. Like, it wouldn't shock me if he went into this offseason, wanted to play for Slovenia, and said, you know what? I got to get into better shape. And if he would have done that, whether he was part of Dallas or the Lakers, it might have not mattered. But to say that this has nothing at all to do with Nico Harrison, that to me, I'm selling that.
The other case for buy that might just burn up in flames in 4 days is that he's like, oh, if I ball out this year, like extension's coming, right? And he's getting it no matter what. He's Luka freaking Doncic, right? But he has an extension offer, I presume, coming in 3 days. It'll be even higher if he waits a year. Like, just go be awesome for a year, make it easy for the Lakers, put pressure on him, and it's gonna be awesome because he's gonna average 43 points a game with his 70-inch vertical. So it's gonna be crazy.
Let's talk about the Warriors. Apparently, their best offer for Jonathan Kuminga topped out at 2 years, $40 million. So, Tony, buy or sell Kuminga's decision not to take $20 million a year?
He should take that. Whatever that answer is, I'm buying that he should take that. I don't know if there's like an option or some funny money in the second year, but he doesn't fit. And literally no one, maybe the Nets, I guess, like no one else in the league can give him that. Like, probably you should take that, dude. You should, and the Warriors are going to trade you somewhere where you're going to get the ball more. If you take it, you should probably take that.
I agree. If there's $20 million on the year, a year on the table for Kuminga, considering what the market is, I don't even blame Kuminga. Like the agent has to at that point step in and be like, dude, like this is just what the market is. I'm sorry. And for what I love about it is if it's 2 years, you're right back on the market in a couple of years. Now, maybe ultimately Kuminga just doesn't he doesn't want to go back to Golden State. And if that's the case, I get that because it hasn't worked out. And I think it's going to work out even less going forward. I think the Warriors are trying to tell people, you know what, we're going to use him more. We're going to figure this out. I just don't see it with Jimmy Butler on the roster now. Like the roster makes even less sense than it did before the Jimmy Butler trade for Jonathan Kuminga. It makes more sense for the teams to move on. It doesn't exist out there. And if you can sign this contract, make $20 million a year for a couple of years, hopefully get traded within the next few months anyway on this deal, then yeah, maybe something works out. And then in a couple of years, you're right back on the market. And by the way, you've made $20 million a year. We're acting like that's right. What has Kuminga done so far in his career that requires anybody to pay him $20 million a year? He hasn't done anything. Like he's not a $20 million a year player yet. You just be betting on his potential, and he's not going to hit that potential in Golden State.
If you're the Warriors and you're scared he's going to be better somewhere else, which is like, I guess, a reasonable fear. Like, why are you afraid of that? You wouldn't even play him in the playoffs. Like, you would not put him on what? Okay, if he's better somewhere else, like whatever. Like your system, clearly you ID'd on the biggest stage. You cannot put him on. And he scored in that Minnesota series they got smoked in. So that's part of this. And the other part is like, I actually think what they're doing by declining these offers, even if they're fair, is smart just because it is literally holding up everything else for the Warriors. Like eventually Al Horford and Anthony Melton and Seth Curry are going to be like, dude, like, come on. Like, I want to work out, but I don't want to get hurt. Like, let's go. Let's get this done. And that will probably help Kuminga if there's some sort of pressure in that way. So in that way, I get waiting it out, but it's not going to be fun for any of these restricted guys.
They do have a lot of leverage in this. I do think the fact that the Warriors had to give James Wiseman up for basically nothing has influenced this a little bit.
And it didn't hurt them at all. They probably got better value than the other teams in that trade.
To miss out on the two headliners of the two timeline plan and just lose both of them for nothing, there's a bit of ego. There's a bit of an ego death in that, right? Where
they got Gary Payton, right, for James Wiseman after they flipped all those seconds like that.
After they got rid of Gary Payton.
And then they got him back, and then
they got him back at a more expensive contract.
I think they probably got the better value in that trade in retrospect.
Last one here. An autographed pair of sneakers that Kobe wore in his first Lakers start recently sold at auction for $240,000, Tony. It's the second largest sum ever paid for a pair of sneakers. Buy or sell spending $200K on a pair of used shoes.
I did not know about this, so I have not thought about this in the slightest. I need to know about the buyer. Do they have like a basement shrine of Kobe collectibles and they have a lot of disposable income? Yeah, that's cool. If you're doing an investment in the hopes it'll go up, I would be a little frightened about that.
If this is the big investment, honey, don't worry about the college fund. I got it all figured out.
Like, I have the only one.
Smelly shoes from 30 years ago. Don't worry.
He said, this crypto guy got out of crypto to do the Kobe shoe method right there.
I just sold all my GameStop stock to make sure that I got these Kobe sneakers.
See, like it's like a buy that this is cool if it's like PJ Tucker, right? Like a shoe collector, has a lot of money. Like PJ Tucker's the perfect guy to have bought these. If it's like mythical guy we just made up.
No, it's a guy who lives in LA. He's a massive Kobe fan, and
hold it out of his 529.
Yeah, I'm selling this. I don't care how rich you are. There's no reason to spend $200,000 on a pair of used shoes. They are autographed, which is kind of cool, but like just get a picture or a jersey, like the used shoe, whatever. That wraps up Locked On NBA Game Night. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube wherever you get your podcast with Tony East. I'm Wes Goldberg. Thanks for tuning in.